Man, it's so cool. It's so cool to be here
Yeah.
and to see you in person. Like
Yeah,
I was
man.
saying before, it's this whole trip, this whole tour has been so rewarding in so many different ways. Um, eh, what I like the most about it though is that I get to actually meet people in person that I only know online,
Yeah.
and there's such a different level of connection.
Oh yeah.
Um, yeah, it's so surreal, and you're one of my, I don't know, the all-time greats.
Oh.
So I'm just honored to be here in front of the rooster.
I feel that way about
You
you,
know,
honestly. Really, your channel's awesome, and you're awesome. And I think, as I've mentioned to you before, the whole Claimless SE is just brilliant, and it just takes all the defensiveness away from the IL. We're just talking about just how you know stuff,
yeah.
and it's a really is inventive, and it works. So I think it's really cool, and I hope more people adopt that kind of thing. And I've even tried it on some of my stuff too now. So
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Well, I can't claim to be the pioneer of Claimless SE because I think the SE survey is a great example of Claimless SE. Now,
yeah,
are you
yeah.
talking about are you talking about Hidden Claim SE?
Hidden claim. That's what I mean.
Okay.
I'm sorry. Hidden claim SE, where the person. Yes, that's what I mean to say. Where the person, they obviously know the claim, and you basically instruct them. You have a good handle on it, but it's okay if I don't know what it is.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's what I mean to
Exactly.
say. Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, there's hidden claim
There's
and there's
also claimless.
claimless.
Yeah, but I guess, and that's cool too. But I think the hidden claim was. I think that is a brilliant development because it just takes the defensiveness away, and people feel free to talk about just their
Yeah.
claim to themselves. Yeah.
There's so many benefits to it. Um, it lets somebody explore their reasoning without um, exposing what the conclusion is.
Yeah.
If it's like a sensitive topic that they don't necessarily want other people to know where they stand on it, they can still explore it with me asking the same types of questions,
Yeah.
uh, and and get to a better place on how to maybe recalibrate their confidence in it,
Yeah.
without anybody knowing how they really where they stand on it, and that's I think really beneficial. Also, how can I have an agenda or um, try to get somebody to change their mind if I don't know
Right.
what the claim is to begin with?
Right. Your agenda then by default becomes let's help you get to adjust your confidence up or down on this claim that you have,
Right,
and between you and you.
right,
Yeah,
right. And
yeah,
so in hidden claim, there actually is a claim. There is a
yeah,
claim. I usually have them write it down.
yeah. And that's what I meant to say. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah,
I have them write it down so
yeah.
that they don't have the temptation to change it
Oh, does that happen?
mid
Okay, yeah,
conversation.
yeah. I can see that happening. Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
obviously we want them to update their conclusions if they feel like it's warranted, but for the purposes of the experiment,
right.
I have them write it down
That's interesting.
so
That's a
that they
good idea.
yeah, so that they can't, cheat, so to speak, and change it
Right.
based on,
But I can see a
going through
cognitive
the
bias of someone like getting feeling that they're trapping themselves and or something like that. Like, okay, well, maybe I just adjusted the claim.
right,
I got myself out of
right,
this logical conundrum I find myself in. Or, yeah,
right.
yeah,
Another benefit is you can do it with a group of people.
yeah,
And so everybody is exploring the quality of their reasoning on their own claim simultaneously
right.
on their own with me just asking the same types of questions, and it helps me stay focused on questions about epistemology rather than going down rabbit holes about the what part of the claim.
Yeah, so Nathan, he has a story from Nathan from Abstract Activist, how he has done like that in a group in a hot tub.
The hot tub.
Yes.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
yeah. And so, yeah, you could do it anywhere. That's
I would have
funny.
loved to have been a fly in that hot tub,
Right.
just to kind of watch it all happen.
Yeah. But it seems like that's, when I think of Nathan, I could see where he'd be most at home
Uh-huh.
in a hot tub.
Right. And so that's hidden claim.
Yeah.
Claimless SE, there is no claim necessarily that we're exploring. We're really doing more of a meta exploration about their relationship with truth.
Yeah, right.
In
And I didn't mean to
general.
conflate those, but yes. Claimless SE, we're just talking about how do we know things,
Right.
just generally speaking.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's a good way to get started. And like I was saying, the SE survey is a brilliant example
Right.
of claimless SE. You're not
Yeah.
necessarily exploring a certain claim. You're just having that kind of meta conversation about truth and their relationship with it.
Yeah.
Because I think that in order to have a productive conversation, especially in the realm of SE, that needs to be, we need to have an understanding of the other person's relationship with truth. Otherwise, there's no need to explore a claim, because if say like a relativist, if if I don't feel like you have a good grasp on truth itself, then I don't think that there's any value in what you have to say about a claim.
Right, because then sometimes the way I would explain it is that if you have more of a relativistic relationship to truth, then everything is true and everything is not true.
Right.
And so, what are we really
So
talking
who
about?
cares? Who cares about
Yeah.
your confidence in a certain claim
Yeah.
if anything's true and anything's not true?
Right, and if you've seen my channel or your channel, that it can develop into some really weird conversations when I look at it later, where the person I'm talking to, I'll ask them, like, so you telling me that this belief you have, it can be true and not true at the same time?
Right.
And they'll say, yes. And I'm like, and my brain breaks when I hear that. Like, okay, how does that how does that work? And maybe that's how it works. It's possible, but let's explore together
Yeah.
if that is something that we can. Let's see if we can navigate that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In a productive way.
Yeah. But you're absolutely right. I think some of the mistakes I made doing SE early on is not realize how important that concept is of truth. I might not have a handle on it. You might not have a handle on it. And it's quite likely neither of us have a handle on what the truth is.
Mm-hmm.
But I like to think of it as that whatever that thing we do or don't have a handle on, we share it.
Yeah.
We're in a world that it's true or not true for both of us at the same
Yeah.
time. Yeah.
Yeah, we have that in common, I think, because I don't know, we're in the South now. We're in the South,
We're in the South.
and I did a lot of growing up in the South,
Oh yeah, in Texas.
in Texas
Yeah.
and in Alabama.
I don't think I knew that. Okay, yeah.
And one thing that I respect about a lot of the people that we meet in the South is their grasp on objective reality. Something is true, regardless if you believe it or not.
Yeah.
And mainly with theists, you know, that's one of the things I respect the most about theists is that they have this idea of something is true or not true, regardless of what we think about it.
And those claims are often easier to discuss because you don't have to go through the tic-tac test.
Right.
You don't have to, like, all right, we don't have to go through what your relationship with truth is, and we can just start at the claim itself.
Right. Yeah.
And I find more with spiritual claims and those kinds of things, more holistic claims, I don't know what we talk about, then oftentimes I'll have SE conversations and we just can't get beyond that initial part of the conversation about our relationship with what we think truth is.
Right. Which there's a lot more there's a lot more challenges with that in the Northwest where I live.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah.
There's a lot less people walking around with a good grasp on objective reality versus, from what I can tell from my experience,
Yeah, I
from
can see
people
that.
in the South. So
Right.
in the Northwest, there's a lot more relativism, um, and so that's kind of where I kind of have this thing that I was telling you about, where we have this thing in common. Where at first, I I had no idea that there was so many people walking
Right?
around that
Yeah.
that don't think we share the same planet.
I know, right? It's unusual. And it's first I thought it was just maybe that people haven't thought about it, and now I'm helping people think about it for the first time because it's not something you think about on a normal basis, walking around in your life. Um, but I'm not so sure about that. I think oftentimes, we underestimate our cognitive biases and things we want to be true, and we want something to be true, and then we kind of fit our whole world around that, so it is true, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
But yeah,
Kind of going from the conclusion, and
yeah,
then
right,
finding the things that fit it.
perfect. Yeah, so yeah, I found my conclusion that I like, and it fits with my world, and it helps me, and it may be very helpful. So we don't want to discount that. It helps them, that I believe that astrology is something that really helps me, and it's true in the world for me, and whatever. And I'm going to start off there, and I'm going to then work backwards and just
Right.
have the world fit to that belief.
Right,
Yeah,
right. Instead
right.
of starting with an open mind and just letting your conclusions have confidence in the conclusions based on the evidence and other good reasoning
Yeah,
that supports it.
right. And I do have true empathy for people who have develop their beliefs that way, because as we know, there's many reasons to have a belief. One reason is that it seems to be objectively true. There are many other reasons to hold a belief. One is it helps me get up in the morning,
Mm.
whether I am in touch with that or not. It helps me with my group of people that I live with, and I fit in with my neighbors, and I
Mm.
mean, who knows? And there are a lot of reasons why, and it seems like from an evolutionary standpoint, it makes sense that the
Yeah.
belief is more important because of its ability to get along with your group,
Hmm.
as opposed to if it's objectively real.
Yeah, which is
Yeah,
huge. Which is huge in our species
yeah,
specifically, because if we don't belong to a group, that that was a death sentence,
right,
couple thousand years ago, and we
right,
haven't really let go of that yet,
yeah,
for
exactly,
better or for worse.
yeah, and whether the I could see, thousands of years ago, whether the sun revolved around the earth, or the earth revolved around the sun, it probably wasn't too relevant
Yeah.
about those like hardcore scientific
Yeah,
truths.
I need to
Yeah,
survive.
right,
I need to survive, and I need a group to help me survive.
right,
I Back to relativism though, I think that from the people that I've talked to, it comes from a space of compassion. Like, I don't want to hurt someone's feelings by telling them that they're mistaken,
yeah,
or by challenging them about something that they think is true to them. And so
yeah,
there's kind of this. It's challenging sometimes because it doesn't come from a bad place.
yeah,
Me letting you have your own beliefs that you think are true
yeah,
is completely compassionate, and I admire that. I just think that it's dangerous sometimes when, like, one of the recent questions that or the line of questioning that I've come up with lately, that really probe the limits about this is, if I say, you know, those work boots, you know, those are pretty nice, and I'm here in my sandals here, and I'm thinking to myself, I could really use some boots like that, and it's my truth that those actually belong to me.
Yeah.
and not you.
Gotcha.
And some people will say, well, I'll give them to you. You can have them.
Yeah.
They're not important to me.
Right.
And so the next question I ask is, it's my truth that you shouldn't have human rights. Would you give those up too?
Nice.
And so that's when it really matters.
There's the concept of, if I may draw on that, what you're saying more, is that personal truths seem to be perfectly fine if you live by yourself in a cabin somewhere.
Sure.
But we live, happens, we live with other people.
Yeah.
And if we have these personal truths that seem to run against other people's personal truth, how do we go about sorting that out?
Yeah. Where does it end? Where do you draw the line where it does matter if somebody's mistaken?
Right.
Because with relativism, it just seems like nobody can be mistaken about anything.
Yeah, that's true. That's interesting. Yeah, and then what's the point of having beliefs? I mean, it's hard to, even for me to, I try to conceptualize what a world looks like in a relativistically truth world, how that would appear.
Yeah.
It's hard for me to, it could be a limit of my understanding of how that is, but yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Cool, man. Yeah, so one thing I'd like to ask you, because I SE, I'm very passionate about it, and this is a question I really want to ask you. If you're been following the SE community, as probably many of you have if you're watching this video, is that SE, it's a weird time for SE. That, SE, the way I see SE, can be used for any claim and things like that. And now SE sometimes is being used more as agenda driven. And when I think of SE, I'd like to think of it as more of a pure dialectic. The belief is sort of irrelevant, or, anybody can use it. You can be a theist and use it for someone who's an atheist, and vice versa. It shouldn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're in a time where people are using it they have a conclusion in mind, which may or may not be true.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not speaking to the truth value of it, but to use it as a way to purport one specific agenda, or maybe a small brand of agenda, or narrow agenda. First of all, what do you think about that? And I really want to know what you think.
Well, I think this is one of the reasons why I'm on this tour.
Yeah.
Is to... So, there's the story that I share. Back when I used to work in the automotive industry, I worked at several car dealerships, and doing various jobs. And one of my favorite parts about working at a particular dealership was there was this family who felt like they got, I guess, ripped off by the dealership.
Yeah.
Something happened. I don't even know what happened, but they feel like they were wronged. Big surprise, car dealership. But it kind of fits the stereotype. But the point of the story is that they ended up making these signs, and there was like 5 or 6 people, and they made these signs, and they were walking back and forth on the corner where the dealership was, and had signs saying like, "Don't shop here. They're bad people, bad business," that kind of thing. Which they can do whatever they want. And so the owner had a brilliant idea, and he got everyone that was available, employees, people that were involved with the dealership, to make their own signs and and join this small group of people
Yeah.
basically protesting against the dealership with signs that say how much they love the dealership and how great the dealership was, a great part of the community and how they contributed. And so it basically drowned out the small group of people with the negative signs with all of these positive signs about how great the dealership was. Needless to say, the small group ended up leaving because it made it look like they were part of the positivity part of the protest.
Right.
And so I think that's an important story in that I think the best way to combat bad SE, from my standards, bad SE, is to make more examples of good SE.
Right.
And so I'm traveling around the country in this nationwide tour, getting people out that maybe would not have gone out and done SE if it weren't for the tour.
And I think that's just incredible.
People that don't have the gear
I think it's just wonderful.
or don't have the confidence
Yeah.
to get out there and do it.
You're a good man to do this.
And it's providing
Yeah.
more examples, more channels. As we speak, people are making YouTube channels and putting content that we created together
Yeah.
on their channels and spreading what I think is good SE.
Right.
Um,
It may be bad SE to start off with because not everyone's so good at it to begin with.
and that's part of that's
Give them the
all part of
tools.
it.
Yeah.
That's all part of it.
Yeah.
It's one thing to be bad at it and new,
Because I was bad at it when I first started.
than to be bad at it knowing what it is
Yeah.
and knowing how to do it well and not.
Yeah.
I think that bringing your own agenda, bringing your own claims, bringing your own definitions is, and not focusing on building rapport,
Yeah.
I think that's bad SE. And I think that there are so many opportunities out there for people to provide examples of good SE, and that's kind of why I'm doing this. There was this talk about building an army of practitioners.
Yeah.
Well, let's
Let's do that.
let's do that.
Yeah, and the way I see it, tell me what you think, is we'd be more effective if people just had the tools and not, yeah, you could use it to purport a certain agenda. I could see that. But for a greater good, if we can just teach these tools where people can use them on each other effectively and use them on themselves, and then, I think we're helping people, I hope, think better. And I'm not sure if we're doing more of an agenda-driven SE, if that's happening. What do you think?
Yeah, I think it's more effective when we're letting the person that we're exploring with bring their own conclusions,
Yeah.
whether they're disclosing those conclusions or not.
Right, of course.
We talked about how the conclusion isn't really the important part. It's the quality of the reasoning that supports it.
Yeah.
That should be the exploration. And so, I think having more, and it doesn't have to be with cameras and mics and all the stuff. It's great to have these examples so that people can watch online, so that they can take it home and use these tools in their everyday conversations with people at the store, people in the elevator, people in their communities,
Yeah.
that's kind of where it matters the most. And I think having more people that are putting out more content and spreading out can give more people better examples of good SE, and I think that's why it matters. That's the value that I
Yeah,
hope to
and I
bring.
think if you truly are interested in having people change their minds, I would think this would be the way to go. I think people are probably more apt to, this is a claim of mine, more apt to experience long-term meaningful change if that change comes internally. If that change something that they come to themselves,
Right.
that they realize themselves, and I can help assist that with questions, and I try to ask good questions, but the important stuff happens internally, inside.
Yeah.
And it's not me. It shouldn't be about me.
Right.
It should be about you and you.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
One of so I have a whiteboard that I can change the sign depending on what works, and change what doesn't. And the message that tends to work the best is YouTube interviews something meaningful to you.
Mm-hmm.
Because I think that the more meaningful the topic is to that person,
Yeah.
the more meaningful the conversation's going to be,
Mm-hmm.
and the more meaningful their own conclusions that they are exploring have, that they're going to hopefully apply to the other conclusions that they have that are meaningful to them. If I want to change somebody's mind about something I think, sure, you can use SE for that, but how much value is that to the person that you're exploring SE with?
And also, if you're attempting to change one belief that somebody has, if you're thinking that it is has poor reasons backing that belief up, you could just address that belief, but you're not addressing the bigger problem.
Right.
Is that if you are thinking about beliefs in a way that you seem to form this bad, ill-informed, or poor reasons of belief, there's a good chance that that's not the only one you have.
Right.
That you have a whole range of them, and I'm no different. I'm sure I have plenty of beliefs that are ill-informed, but probably haven't thought about too much, or I have thought about, and they're ill. I mean, who knows? But if we do a good job of really having people look at how they form beliefs, then it's not about changing this one belief. It's just about changing how we form beliefs in general. And I think we would raise the sanity line of our world that way.
Yeah, and that's the beauty of hidden claim is, you're teaching somebody to ask the questions that really get to the heart of what's supporting
Right.
their conclusions, and they can take those same questions and apply them to whatever they want.
What surprises people the most when they ask me about doing SC for as long as I have is I will often tell them, they'll say, "Oh, how it must be wild to talk to people who have this belief or that belief or and it's what, I don't even think about belief. I don't care. Someone will tell me the belief and I'll file it away and then I'll throw it away. And
Yeah.
once I kind of get a good sense of what this is about, and then I'm done with the belief.
Yeah.
And it just doesn't matter.
Right.
I'm gone. I'm done from it. And it just sometimes I have to remind myself what's the belief they're talking about? Oh, that's what it is, because it's really not what you're talking about. The
Right.
actual belief.
The what matters a lot less than we think it does.
Right.
It's the how, it's the
Yeah.
why.
Yeah.
That's what matters.
How, why, how. Yeah. Yeah, and it's I think us in the SC community where we're falling short is, and maybe I don't know why it is, we have a hard time explaining what it is we do. I think people watch my videos and I have, friends and neighbors who know what I do, and they'll say, "Oh, that's cool," and like, it seems opaque.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing? And like, and I try to explain, and it doesn't. I don't do a good job with it landing. You know, I don't have a good elevator pitch for SE, and I think I need a better one so people really understand what it is I'm trying to do here, or trying to do here.
Yeah.
I don't know if you feel that way.
So, yeah, that is a challenge that a lot of people have. I think it's worthwhile to just kind of sit with yourself and just make the most concise explanation of what it is that we're doing. Because people will read the sign,
Yeah.
but they'll still say, "So, what are you doing out here?" Like, and there's information about it all over the place, but they still want to know.
Yeah.
And so the most recent explanation that I've come up with is that it's a civil way to explore the quality of one's reasoning. Like, that's it.
All right. Let me let me be the other person then.
Sure.
Why would you want to do that?
Well, because I think the conclusions that we make affect our behavior, and that's why it matters. For instance, the conclusions that we make affect how we vote, and that affects the rest of us. That affects me and the people that I love, and that's why it's valuable to explore this stuff.
Well, my beliefs are well informed. So I'm not sure why I'm sitting here.
Mm-hmm.
Why am I sitting here?
That would be a great thing to explore. How do you know that your beliefs are well informed? Can we maybe pick one? And let's pick one that you're the most confident in. And start there. Because if you have really good reasons to be confident in something, I want to know those reasons so that I can maybe adjust the way that I think too.
So you're going to try to talk me out of my belief.
Obviously. No, actually, I don't even need to know what the belief is.
Yeah.
We can pick one, and you can keep it hidden from me. And I don't even need to know the conclusion. And I can still ask you the same types of questions that help us explore how you got there and what supports your confidence that this conclusion that you have is accurate. If you are interested in your map of reality matching reality as much as possible, then I think this could be valuable.
Well, how are you so sure that you're right? I mean, I could just see this as a passive aggressive way to have me just to catch me in a corner.
Yeah. I'm not sure I'm right. And that's another reason why I have these conversations, is so that I can test my own thinking.
Yeah.
So we can do this together. We can be on the same team. It's not a debate. It's not an argument. We can be on the same team working towards a common goal that help us explore the quality of reasoning in general.
Yes, Dave.
We can start there.
I like it. It's nice. With your trip that you've done, what's the most challenging? What's the most challenging aspect so far? I mean, I'm sure logistically, but I mean the SE part.
The SE part?
Yeah.
The most challenging SE wise of this, I think the SE part and the people that I've had the pleasure to hook up with has been the most rewarding and the easiest part of the whole thing. My job is really easy. I just set stuff up, facilitate the space, and most of the people that I've had the pleasure to be with, they're doing all the hard work. They're the ones busking. They're the
Oh wow,
ones
you have
having
to,
the conversations.
yeah.
They're the ones that some of them have never done this before, even online, but they're out there uh, with the courage to have these conversations in their own neighborhood.
Yeah.
I'm so impressed uh, by the people, the new people that are going out there and doing this. I don't think that I would have been the same way. I had the pleasure
You're
of,
putting yourself out there when you do that, especially
yeah,
for the whole public to see first time out. It's
absolutely,
yeah,
yeah.
it takes some strength to do that.
I remember my first time. I was on a different road trip.
Yeah.
I found myself in Joshua Tree National Park, close to LA, and I knew that Reed um, lived in LA, and so I shot him a message saying, "Hey, I'm in the area. I'd like to have a beer with you. I admire you,
Yeah.
what you do."
Yeah.
I think this was in 2020,
Okay.
fall of 2020, I want to say.
Yeah.
Could be wrong about that, but um, he was gracious enough to invite me to his place. Um, and he said, "Hey, if you want to crash, we can go do SE tomorrow at UCLA."
Yeah.
And I was just stoked to kind of observe
Right.
and see how he did it, like hauling his gear around, see how the sausage was actually made, because we don't get to see that part in the videos.
Right.
All we see is the awesome conversations.
And Reed has 10 times as good gear as anybody
Exactly.
else. Yeah.
And so we went to UCLA the next day,
Yeah.
and he had an interview, and he said, "All right, you're next. You get the
That's
next
funny.
interview," and
That's similar experience.
basically just threw me in the deep end.
Yeah.
And what a way to start! What a,
Oh, I was so nervous. That's the same way I had doing SE in front of Reed and Dolly. That was yeah. That's
but
funny.
what a fantastic
Yeah.
way to get started. So I had, I think, 3 interviews that day. Great conversations. I mean, I'd say that I've improved since
Absolutely.
then. Um,
Why do you do SE?
because, like I mentioned before, I want to create a space for the members of my community to be able to explore how they arrive at conclusions, because of the fact that it affects their behavior in the way that they vote, which affects me and the rest of us. And having that opportunity with Reed to just do it. The next thing I know, I'm home. I got a camera, and I'm out doing SE in my neighborhood and putting up videos every Thursday since then. And it's just been rewarding,
Yeah.
and been able to meet a lot of people.
Right.
This is completely out of my comfort zone.
Oh, me too. I'm an introvert.
Yeah.
To set up a table.
Yeah.
Out in public.
I don't really like hanging out with people.
Yeah.
I'd rather be in the woods by myself for weeks.
Yeah.
Like that's my comfort zone.
Yeah, I
And
hear you.
SE has given me an opportunity to connect with people in my community, even if that's all it is. It's given me the courage and the confidence to have conversations, because I like connecting with my community, but I don't like to argue. And so this
Right.
allows me to do that. And this trip, needless to say, I love road tripping to begin with, camping, just waking up in a different place every day. seeing the different architecture, listening to the different accents, looking at the different hairstyles.
Yeah.
Like it's awesome. And the food. So this kind of helps me do all of these things at the same time, including SE and helping other people get out there and do it.
Good. All right. Let me ask you this question. Think about this for a second,
Okay.
if you don't mind. How do you want to be? How would you like to be remembered?
In general, or in the community, or
It's for you to
okay.
answer. Yeah.
So in general, like what do I want on my tombstone, kind of thing.
Well, maybe it's exposing my bias, but well, maybe start off with I get intrinsic satisfaction for, we do this for no money.
Mm-hmm.
I get intrinsic satisfaction for, like, if when I'm gone, I've done something. I've just done something that can linger on, and maybe that's pie in the sky, and maybe 10 years from now, no one will ever watch my YouTube videos, and they'll just fade away like everything else. But I truly get intrinsic satisfaction that I'm on this planet for a short time, and I get to do something, that's meaningful.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a huge motivator, I think, for me. And I've often described why I do SE is because in 2016, we were having issues in our country, and I wanted to do something to help the situation, make it better. But now I've been doing this longer, and I've had more time to reflect and things like that. I just, there is a selfish nature to it, and I admit that I really get good feels, and I feel like I'm doing something that matters, even though maybe it doesn't. Who knows? But that's me. How about you?
Yeah. I want to be remembered as someone who gave a shit.
Yeah.
As someone who cared about his community.
Yeah.
And I can't remember who quoted this. It might have been Mother Teresa, who said, "The problem is that we make our family circle too small."
Mm.
And when I say community, it's not necessarily, the town that I live in.
Yeah.
Because, obviously a lot of SE happens online, which is worldwide.
Yeah.
And so that's a community. And the worldwide community, I think we need a better way to talk to each other.
Yeah. Don't we?
And I think SE has the potential to do that more than any conversation style I've ever known.
Yeah, I just understand why, and that resonates with me, and I just, hopefully when I talked about it, it's not an all selfishness thing. It's a selfishness in this, like, that I'm doing something that can help others, and that is, it's weird. It's a selfish good feeling. When I help others, I get a good feeling, and that could be seen as selfish. It's weird.
Altruism, I think it is.
It's
like where you get good feelings from helping others.
Yeah. So I like helping other people, but I'm getting something out of this, and I don't want it to seem like I'm just completely altruistic. I'm just like trying to help the world and like in the pie in the sky. I try to be very realistic about it.
Mm-hmm.
That um, I want. That's when I feel like I'm at my best, when I'm helping other people, and that's when I feel best about myself. Part of why I got into psychology, why I became a psychologist. That I really, you know, there's no better high I get when I get to do that. And and when I practice psychology, I do it on one-on-one. But when I do this, I get to do 1 on 1,000,
Mm-hmm.
right? And I'm like, and I just feel really good about it. I'm doing something that I get to do something good. That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's important. I think that anything that we do and any policy that's made and any decision that's made worldwide requires good reasoning.
Yeah. It does.
And so it just transcends everything else.
It does. Um, I, you know, I try to be realistic. Sometimes I'm really positive about, like, I'm making a difference, and sometimes I think I'm not. And all the, because this is going out in all the noise.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah, it's really hard to like when you see negativity everywhere.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's hard to kind of see the value in what you're doing compared to everything else that's going on. But it's one of those things where you do what you can and you don't worry about the things that you can't change.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, there's this sense of, this hope, meaning, and purpose that I see in doing this. And like you said, we don't get paid for this. And that's a testament on how valuable this is. If we don't have a way to calibrate our confidence in the decisions that we make, what else is there?
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been working on my impressions.
Oh yeah, that's funny. Nate, not Nathan, but Nate. What's his channel's name?
Navigate with Nate.
Navigate with Nate.
Uh-huh.
He just popped out with it. He did some impression of like, you just did me. Like, that's funny. I guess that's nice for people to impress.
Absolutely. What's the saying? Imitation is the highest form of
Flattery. Yeah.
flattery. Yeah.
I think it's funny when people do, because I realize after watching my videos back, I do very similar manners and things like that. And that's part of the reasons why it makes it so hard for me to watch myself. Sometimes I have to like make myself watch myself, and when I'm editing my videos, I'm often sweating. I'm just like, it's like Mark, turn it off. I'm just sweating, and but yeah.
Well, just know that we, like everybody in the community, we all love you. We are really, like, I don't know. I speak for everyone, I think, when I say you are one of the pillars of why the rest of us are doing this, and have given us such motivation and guidance, um, and leadership. Really, we I think that SE would be a lot different if you weren't around.
That is so kind. I don't know if that's true, but it's really kind of you to say. Um, and I haven't been doing as much SC recently, and I do have some conversations lined up in a week or so. And I'm trying to, I try to think about it in my mind why I haven't been doing less SE, and initially I think I told myself is that I'm busy.
Mm-hmm.
We're all busy, so I don't think that's a really good reason because we're all busy. But I think I'm going to be honest. I think this recent sort of cloud that's hung over it makes me feel, and I'm telling you, like, I like to do it because I just feel good inside when I do it.
Mm-hmm.
And I can help other people. And I get that great feeling. And I just, because of that cloud hanging over, I wasn't getting as good of a feeling, I'm like, I mean, are people, and I'm thinking in third person, like, are people thinking that I'm just doing this because I'm agenda driven and I am trying to, purport some view, and I have beliefs about things for sure, but I think I just that little bit of a notch going down of not feeling as good about doing it, that's nobody's fault but my own. Maybe that's why I'm just not doing as many of them.
Well, you're not the only one that has this feeling.
Yeah.
This tour has really opened my eyes about how impactful this cloud, as it were, is having on the community, and what a perfect time to go on this tour and energize
Yeah.
and motivate even the people that are pinnacles of this.
Yeah.
And so that's why I'm excited about being here and doing this tour, getting people out there that do it well and that make a positive, productive version of what this is. And so when I hear people say that, on the one hand, I'm like really discouraged, but on the other hand, that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
And I'm super excited about going out tomorrow
Tomorrow morning
with
we're gonna
you,
go out with you, me, and Two Day David. And we're gonna do some SE, and I'm excited. I haven't been out in the field doing SE in a long time. I don't know how many months, but it's I'm excited to do it.
Yeah.
And I think when I do it again, it's gonna make me feel better.
Yeah.
So it's good.
Yeah, I get that. Like, even the people that have never done it, they're like, I really want to do this more.
Yeah.
And so that's the most rewarding part about all of this, is getting more people out there that have, I think, a better grasp on the value of doing this well.
Yeah.
And giving a better representation of what this is. Because my fear is going out and doing it, have great conversations, and then the people that I interview going home and looking up SE and finding representations, very popular representations of SE that I don't think represent it well, as far as what the rest of our community standards are. And so I'm really glad that I'm doing this. I'm glad to be here.
I'm glad you're doing this too. I really am.
I want to keep going. I want to keep doing it.
If I could pick one person to do this, I'd pick you. Really, I truly do. I think I love your style of SE.
I appreciate that.
I think where I really, other than what I told you before, what I really appreciate about you, and also similarly with Nathan from Abstract Activist, is you guys are really kind, and you have this disarming way about yourselves, and you can talk to anybody, and it's just it just comes across, and you can just tell that your heart's in the right place, and it's nice to see.
Well, thanks so much, and thanks for having me here. I love your town.
Sun's setting, so hopefully you're still getting a video. But
Yeah.
yeah.
So
Yeah, no, we'll go out tonight, and I'll show you good times. It'll be nice.
awesome, and we'll do SE tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Cheers.
Cheers, man.